Hi, welcome to this week's edition of Blue Sock. Again, John, Dave, myself. Going to look back over Leinster's victory against the Saints at the weekend. Look back at all the other action from the European Cup and, of course, our game at the weekend in the Aviva as well. So, lads, very comprehensive victory, 43-16 against the Northampton Saints. But, it was tight enough at half-time. It was 19-16.
Oh, we were just
a good year for the
from the
Irish.
bollocks.
Yeah, because the first half was a cracking game, cracking half of rugby, and obviously I was like you guys were. The commentators were saying what a great game of rugby it was and how they were really enjoying it and stuff like that. And it was great end to end stuff for the first 30 minutes anyway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just shut them down.
Yeah, we decided to be stingy with the ball. The first half, like you say, it was great. I think they got a lot of the rub of the green on ref decisions. If they were in their 22, it was one decision, and then the same thing had happened in our 22, and it'd be the opposite decision. One would claim not rolling away, and the other one would be hanging onto the ball. So you couldn't. He did change that a little bit in the second half, and I suppose we got smarter as well. On top of that, no way am I whinging about the ref. However, you can't be doing that when you're scoring 7 tries. But I think they just tired.
That's what Boyd said, their coach.
Did
He actually said that's kind of playing with the big boys now, and that's nearly an international standard team, and if you want to be at that level, you have to have better conditioning and fitness levels.
Yeah.
And he said at half time, when he went into the changing room, they were only 3 points down. He said, I knew they were gassed. They didn't have anything left. So,
bit like Northampton in 2011 in the final.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were also ridiculously outstanding in defence in the second half. I know we scored a lot of tries, but we spent a lot of that half
we
just
were
keeping them out.
We were behind the goal where they were attacking in the second half. And Josh van der Fleer, I think maybe because of his red headgear, he's quite distinctive. Man, he was just absolutely excellent.
Did you not know there was 2 other guys put on red headgear in that game? That's what happened. Yeah.
Well,
Because some guy appeared just over here. I was thinking about what I used to say about Alan Redden with the little time warp where you could get from one ruck to the next. Well, Josh van der Fleer seemed to be doing that. He's down at the bottom of a ruck. Oh look, he's over there. He's down. He's somebody's after poleaxing him. He won't be he's about 10 yards away tackling somebody.
Yeah.
How does that happen? So he was everywhere, and that's his game. He's an all action. He can carry, tackle. He's got an engine like you wouldn't believe. And the strange thing about it is you've got the week after Will Connors does the same thing. He's like a like for a like replacement. He's an engine on him like a Honda 50.
that's what I was going to say, because we said last week that, Will Connors has just put together 2 back-to-back but extraordinary performances. And he's really put it up to Josh van der Fleer.
Yeah.
Well, Josh van der Fleer.
Hello.
It's like tennis, isn't it?
Took it and ran with it.
Yeah.
He was absolutely.
Balls back in
he
your
was
court.
outstanding. He was just outstanding. Like you were nearly looking for him in the line. If there was a threat, you were going, there's no threat there. Josh is there. He just shut it down completely. But the whole back row was superb.
Yeah,
Really
they
was.
were.
Well, that Quaylen Doris.
Absolutely fantastic.
He had a great game, yeah.
So he was.
He had a great game.
Yeah.
In his excellence.
But we spoke about the performance against Glasgow the previous week, and it was a really excellent performance from, let's call them our seconds, for want of a better word. And I was hoping that they might have learned from what happened, say, in Japan, that form was rewarded and good performances were rewarded. But some of the decisions that the coaching team made, for instance, they chose Porter over Furlong, Fardy on the bench, Jemison Gibson Park ahead of McGrath, even Doris against Deegan, and Larmer coming in for Carney.
What lovely headaches to have.
But that they made those decisions, and all of those lads were outstanding.
Yeah.
And so now it's going to put a huge emphasis on, if they do decide to play Carney again, or Deegan, or McGrath, or Furlong, those lads have to really up their game.
Absolutely.
Knowing that the other fellas that took their position are waiting in the long grass, waiting to take their place if they mess up.
Yeah. Great place to be.
I agree entirely. It puts pressure on selection and stuff like that. Or not put pressure on selection, but puts pressure on the players not to select.
Yeah.
When they do get their opportunity, they have to raise their game. It's interesting you mentioned Doris there. I mean, he's generally selected over Deegan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seems to be. Yeah.
But I'm just saying that Deegan has been in the Leinster squad a bit longer, and as probably, if you look, I don't know off the top of my head how many appearances that either player has.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that Deegan's been around for about 3 seasons, 4 seasons perhaps. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Since he was on
maybe 2 years older.
since he
I'd
went
say.
for the European Player of the Year thing.
World Player of the Year.
World Player of the Year,
I think he is. Yeah, I think he's 2 years older. But it's funny that no, it just always strikes me as it's weird how people are always surprised when Doris is selected the way he's always selected ahead of Deegan at 8.
Well, I just that Doris is coming through. That's all I'm saying.
And I think it's a great position to be in because you have these two players who are both obviously extraordinary talents. I mean, Deegan was the star of his generation, and Doris was the star of his generation, and it's great that we have it shows very well on Deegan how well he has just I'm not getting picked in my favourite position. I'm getting picked at 6 and occasionally at 7. So I'm going to go out there and play at 6. I'm going to play at 7. I'm going to do as well as I can. And it's a great reflection on him. He's not having a sulk or whatever. He's been really, really professional and just really putting in a shift wherever he's picked.
And who knows? He could be starting at 8.
He could be starting at 8 on
next
Saturday.
But like
yeah.
he came in,
Yeah.
like if you remember, Doris got injured in the first 10 minutes against Treviso,
Yeah.
and then he played. Then Deegan played against Leon,
Mm-hmm.
so he was the man in possession. They made a decision to select Doris over him,
Yeah.
but that's obviously putting pressure on Doris to come back into the team to play well, and pressure on Deegan now has to up it when he gets his next start. Like it's a fantastic situation to be in.
It is indeed.
Yeah,
There's no free wheelers there.
Yeah, no. When you have guys who are constantly under, we saw it before, like when we say in 2011 or maybe 2000, particularly in 2012, when there was nearly 2 guys for every position.
Yeah.
And you saw how that raised the standard.
Yeah.
And you saw guys like when we first had Owen Redden, he was a particular type of scrum half, and he was very good at that. But he was that kind of scrum half. Isaac Boss was a totally different kind of scrum half, and he was very good at that. But he could really only play that way. And you could see both of them going
Influencing each other.
Well, and you can see Owen Redden saying, "Well, I have to be able to do what Isaac Boss does well
Yeah.
in order to get it." And Isaac Boss, conversely, looking and saying, "Well, I have to be able to do what Owen Redden does well in order to lift my game," and it just lifts the whole. Both players get lifted by it. It's the rising tide.
It is. So we had 7 tries to work our way through.
Which we'll have a look at them.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So it got fairly quick off the marks.
It did,
It was
didn't it?
2 minutes James Lowe scored in.
And a lovely
Which
try
is
it was
always
too.
nice. That man, Mr. Larmer,
You really can't shift, can't you?
can accelerate a little bit. We kind of rope-a-doped them for that one. Like they were attacking us, and all of a sudden, boom!
That happened a couple of times.
This is
They
what
threw a
happens if
very
you.
ropey pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
yeah.
like,
This is what happens if you relax, even in R22. Never mind your own.
We were putting a lot of pressure on there.
Ringrose came through
Yeah.
on it.
Ringrose started off
I was up
not
to
great. If you remember, he missed 2.
Yeah.
For their try, actually, he missed two tackles. Which the way Larmer just starts heading in field to straighten it up, create a bit more space for Lowe on the outside is superb for a young player.
I was up the other end of the field, and I thought we'd actually turned the ruck over, and it was our pass when I saw it first. Again, being alive, it's always a good thing to see when a team is alive to falling on a loose ball or picking off a loose pass, or
Electric side set.
Oh yeah.
In fairness to Reinach, he really kills himself getting back. I was surprised actually Gibson Park because he's quick.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that he committed himself to that break because he didn't want to run away from his support.
Yeah, your man is also quick.
Yeah, your man was blindingly fast to get back to him, in fairness.
Yeah. That's one of his party tricks, I think.
Yeah.
Being fast. The Flash. But a pack of forwards like that,
Yeah.
when you
This
when
is
you
one
get
of-
them close
this
to
is
the line,
one
it's
of
a,
our- yeah, this is one of our practices. When we get inside the 5, we very rarely don't score.
No,
well,
we are very clinical, and it was
Yeah.
it was quite noticeable. Whenever we got into their 22, we scored,
Yeah, yeah.
or it seemed that way.
We are very, very clinical.
Interesting that of all of our 7 tries, I think 5 of them were scored close in, and 3 of them were scored by front rowers. So you kind of use all of your flashy backs to make yards and to suck players in, and then you just pound them up through the middle
Yeah.
with the pack.
yeah. He looked for the pass to go back
Yeah,
there, but
I think he was
yeah,
conscious
too
of
risky.
not running away from support.
But you know, they could have scored another couple of tries. Like James Lowe sort of threw
Yeah,
one to,
yeah.
to Sexton, and he wasn't wasn't ready for it.
There were other tries out there. He just moves like he's on rails sometimes.
He does.
He has an outrageous step off both feet as well.
Isn't that a jump?
Off either foot.
Good power to
that
get over
better?
there.
That's considerably better. And this is just another example of pressure. When you get into that area, you don't because they spent a lot of time attacking.
Yeah.
But if you notice, they very rarely broke the game line.
No. And as we just said a minute ago, every time we got into that red zone, we took our chance.
It was good to see. It was good to see Robbie Henshaw playing well again.
Yeah. I was getting a bit concerned for him.
Yeah.
but
Especially seeing as Joe Tremani now is out for a while.
Yeah, but then again, you've got
Conor O'Brien.
Conor O'Brien coming through. You know, it's like we are just talking about Deegan and Doris. There's 2 guys who can play 8 to a very, very high level. But like, there's Jack Conan too. You know,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
tend to forget about him because
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
injured. And you know, if all things were equal, you would expect Jack Conan to be the man in possession of it. Seems he's an international 8.
Yeah.
if you look at the scoreline there, we've only just scored that try to make it 16-19. So it was 16-14 at 37 minutes gone.
So,
Yeah.
So we were actually losing coming into half time.
Mm-hmm.
We scored 3 tries in 7 or 8 minutes.
championship minutes, mate.
That's what they call them.
How often have we done that?
Yeah.
You know, especially in Europe or in any kind of a knockout match. How often have we done that?
But again, it's just this clinical and cynical, taking, robbing them the chance to go in at half time, saying we're 2 points up, lads, we're out,
Yeah.
That
we're
was
out on
just,
our feet. But
that was just to give it to Porter. Try. If you want to get over the unlock,
Yeah.
just give it to Porter. Be grand.
or Healy.
Or really.
Not really. Nice spin and touchdown.
He was a bit fancier.
Yeah.
He was nearly a back there,
Yeah.
spinning around.
Well,
and
not as
planting
fancy
it.
as Ed Byrne, but still.
But Porter was just
Sexton
got
got
over
injured
there,
in
grunt,
that.
yeah, in the
yeah.
build-up to the try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The replay.
So
Like-
we were playing with 14 men scoring that. He got took out of it. Oof. Unlucky.
So he could potentially be out. It's funny what newspaper you read. If you read the Irish Independent, he's out for the opening couple of games. If you read the paper of Record, it says he'll be back before the the opening Six Nations. So
Yeah.
sensationalist rather than
Who knows?
well,
Our opening Six Nations is against Scotland. You never know what they might try and do to open the Andy Farrell era.
I'd say he wants to get off to a winning start and
Watch
pick his
now.
best team.
Watch the run. Watch this now. Watch Cian Healy's run. You might see it on this angle, right? But watch Cian Healy's run. He's coming up there actually
Yeah,
on the thing.
see it.
But when you see it from behind, the work he makes to get up to there. Now he doesn't get the ball, but it just shows the
willingness,
effort.
yeah.
the willingness to do it from a prop, like.
Wouldn't have happened to Mad, eh? Probably beaten with sticks for doing that.
Lots of things wouldn't have happened in your day, John, like internal combustion.
But maybe it's because there's another guy coming up
Yeah,
on,
that's
on
it, yeah.
his
On the rails.
on the rails behind him. But it was very noticeable being over there to
Nice few
see
yards from
to see
Mr. Doris.
how we adapted to Sexton going off after 43
Oh yeah,
minutes.
yeah, yeah.
Like
Scoring a try
I
by
was,
his
I was
replacement.
talking to someone last night about it, like, and I remember thinking the same thing when we had Berquist playing for us. We said it was it Berquist, that the reserve.
Gopperth?
No,
No, Berquist was.
Yeah. that
He was
like
out
for
a whole
someone like
season.
Byrne. Byrne has played. Byrne, that was his 19th game.
Yeah. Just
That-
watch.
but hold on,
watch
that-
Dean Healy here.
But
Just-
yeah,
just-
that
just-
was Byrne's 19th game to play for Leinster in the European Cup, and he hasn't been on a losing side.
Yeah, yeah. Look at him here. Going like a train, like. Just on the off chance he gets past. Sorry, Jake. Go on.
Yeah. So, but you've got Byrne coming on, and you feel very comfortable when he comes on. I'm not sure if he's. I'm not sure that when Sexton goes that they're going to stick with him. I don't know. But as a replacement, because you're not going to get a world class guy to play second fiddle
No,
to
no.
Sexton, so you need somebody who's not quite world class,
Mhm.
but you want to be very competent and sure of him when he does come on. And I think, and again, when you're at the match, you've just felt so relaxed knowing that Byrne was in there
Yeah.
because he'd been there plenty of times before. He's 20 European Cup games under his belt, and he can manage this game, which wasn't won by any.
Not at that stage.
Not
it
at that
wasn't.
stage.
No. And then you've got a guy like Fardy coming on as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in terms of
Tyke
jump.
Furlong. It was a horrific bench if you're a Northampton supporter.
Luke McGrath.
Mm-hmm.
We have some questions about hooking later. Well, the hooker's position, so we'll get to that. I just noticed that because Tracy was there. Tracy played well when he came on, actually.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't come on. Was that Byrne?
No, Tracy.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me. Sorry.
Ooh.
Actually,
Nice
if
little
you
snipe.
think about that, that's actually very clever play from Luke McGrath because he's looked and he's
Yeah.
seen that the pillar is Naya. What's his name?
Naira Vuro.
Naya Rivoro. Sorry, Jason, I did a Jason there. Naya Rivoro. And he thought, this guy isn't getting down low to me.
Mhm.
He's just not because he's about as supple as wood.
And he's also 6'20".
Yeah. So he identified that very, very cleverly. It's good to see that Naya Rivoro has continued the effectiveness he showed with Glasgow against us with Northampton.
It's a nice little dummy, all right, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
Another one of Jason's mates, Nakarawa, might be end up
That's
back,
right,
back
yeah,
in
yeah,
Glasgow.
well. I'm sure Murdo is
Murdo is happy.
if he's of the sort has the child of Prague out in the garden just in case, you know. Although you never know with Glaswegians, he mightn't be the sort, but still, I'd say any Glasgow fan will be praying to Allah, Buddha,
That was
Ganesha just to get him back in the
that
squad.
was a nice little try there by Ed Byrne
It was actually a nice step.
that you missed.
But again, just those two
He's from
tries,
Carlo. Do you think I'd miss it?
just those two tries in the 75th and 80th minute,
Yeah.
just put the absolute seal on it to make sure that there was no way that they were coming back.
Well, there was no way they were going back anyway.
Okay,
that
but
was,
what
that was
I'm
like
trying to
last.
say that they killed out the clock in the last 10 minutes in their half, didn't let Northampton come near our line, and made sure that when we were up in theirs, we went over their line.
Mhm.
It also to a certain extent takes the group away from them.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
to a certain extent, because
They're on
the
9.
amount-
they
the
come
amount-
back and
the amount
BP
of
us
tries
next
scored
week.
and
It's
stuff
all
like that,
back to zero. I don't think they will, but you know,
No, I don't think they will either.
if they did, like they did in the past,
Mm-hmm.
very different Northampton and very different Leinster team. Was that 2013?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they beat us.
Oh, yeah.
We beat them 40 points to 7 over there, and a week later they came back and beat us 9
That was
9-18.
Yeah.
that was
Don't-
all Matt O'Connor's fault. Players had nothing to do with it.
Wow.
They weren't actually, you know.
That was George North's first try in Europe.
Jamie Heaslip knocked
Yeah,
down the ball.
Yeah.
He was intercepted. It was picked off. Just he had 3 men outside him,
Yeah.
and the ball was intercepted
O'Connor just got a
by
hand to it.
I heard
Matt
O'Driscoll.
O'Connor. And he just tickled him under the arm as
I heard O'Driscoll talking about that match, and he was saying that he said he was chasing a kick or something, and next of all he felt he was tripped from behind
By Matt O'Connor.
by Matt O'Connor by George North actually. He said he's the last person that would do something a bit ropey or dodgy on
Yeah.
you. But he said that their gander was up because of the thumping that Leinster had given them the week
Yeah.
before. They thought a bit of retribution. Now what was it, 3 seasons ago, we went over there, put a bit of pain on them, 37-10.
In difficult circumstances as well, although they did end up getting Hartley
Sent off, yeah.
But
for-
if you remember, Joey Carberry had to go off, and
Yeah.
Ross Byrne had to come on for his first European appearance.
That's right.
we beat them in Lansdowne Road 60-13.
I watched that game recently in preparation,
Mm.
which actually wasn't a whole lot of use because there's not a lot of players, not a lot of common players. Their whole ethos has changed since the coach has changed a whole lot. But anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah, so
No, Dylan Hartley.
no.
like, I mean, there was some great statistics from some of the players. Like Van der Fleer made 17 tackles, James Ryan made 18, and I don't know what time he went off with his head knock. He didn't play the whole game,
Yeah.
and he made 18 tackles. Doris made 58 metres for 14 carries, and Larmer made 112 metres with 11 carries.
Yeah, but it's a lot easier to make
So it
make yards from
like,
full back than it
well,
is
for
from.
sure. But like I just went
number
through
8.
the players that I thought had come out on the right side of selection
Yeah, yeah.
decisions, and each one of them had big games.
Yeah.
We saw ourselves, but it was backed up by the stats as well.
Oh yeah. I wouldn't even be. I mean, we haven't talked about it. We're not going to talk about next week just yet. But I wouldn't be surprised if those decisions go the other way this week
It could be.
to get the response.
Well, that's it.
To get that response
but
on the pitch.
just to keep everyone motivated.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like the worst thing in the world is to think, well, I played great against Glasgow and I don't get a shout, I don't get a chance. Whereas, give a couple of them a game and it'll keep everyone in the. For someone like Scott Fardy, that we all think, oh my God, is he going to be rivaling Issa for one of the best players ever, or getting past Contepomi?
Yeah, yeah.
And yet, the management are willing to put him on the bench
Mm.
to sort of motivate him, to motivate the.
Well, what makes Scott Fardy so good or so impressive, or as a foreign signing, and why he's perfect, is that okay, he's not content to be on the bench, but if he's put on the bench, he sits, he does it, and then comes out and plays the way he played.
Yeah.
And that's a significant thing. It shows other players how a professional is supposed to.
Yeah. Well, it's all about the team, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, it
yeah.
has to be all about
Yeah.
the team, and you have to. The decision is the right decision
Yeah,
that the coaches make for the team. Well, it should be.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
We managed to overcome the skills deficit anyway.
that's true. That's true. There's quite some interesting comments. Maybe we'll get to that later.
Yes.
I was just looking at. So that was our 10th victory so far this season. Like these are off the charts, right?
We haven't lost a game yet
We haven't lost a game. We've got
in any competition.
7 bonus points in 7 of our 10 matches. We've got bonus points. We've scored 13 tries in the European Cup, 34 in the Pro 14, which is a total of 47 over 10 games, which is 4.7 tries a game. We concede 1.5 tries a game.
You can see where this is going.
Well, I just think it's
To the toppermost of the poppermost.
Indeed, Ringo.
At the end of the season, if things keep going the way they're going, I'd say a special medal will have to be struck for Zebre players.
well 3-0
Yeah.
is some result, really.
Indeed.
Of course, there was another injury that we picked up. Kelleher broke his wrist or broke his hand.
And
Yeah.
that's not
So,
nice.
like, he's obviously been
Well, there's
penciled into the Irish squads or certainly training
Yeah, certainly
squad.
Carton House anyway.
Yeah.
Well, we have a question on that from our viewer. Oh no, hold on, we've got a few more viewers. James Murphy asks, will Dan Sheehan get his first Leinster cap with Kelleher injured? He could well do over Christmas.
Well, unfortunately for Dan Sheehan, Sean Cronin's back in full training.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Which doesn't mean that he won't get a cap somewhere over the.
Cronin might be in Carton House as well. I mean, it's
You'd think he'd be the next cab off the rank.
There's a shortage of really top quality hookers in Ireland at the moment. You've got good players like Cronin, who's good at a lot of stuff. You got Scannell, who's good at a lot of stuff. You got Herring, who's good at a lot of stuff. But you've no really complete hooker, and that's why we were so invested to a certain extent, even in this short period of time, in Kelleher, because he looked like he might be the complete package.
Yeah, well, that's only been mooted for this season.
Oh well, yeah. Well, he's only started the
Fairness,
season.
we're
But
only
he
10
has,
games in.
I mean, he's played 10. He's played pretty much. Well, he's played been involved, I'd say, in 8 of those games anyway,
Sure.
and he's looked like the real deal.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
The one worry I had, he completely answered, was I was a bit worried about his throw, but his throw was perfect under pressure. Like
Yeah.
so there are going to be options for guys like Sheehan and guys at that level, because there's going to be a lot of guys away for Carton House and not around and rest over Christmas and so like. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did see Sheehan get, maybe not a start, but maybe some run-ons.
Well, we kind of have to, really.
Yeah.
With Kelleher out for that long, and Cronin, you have to think, going to be going to Carton House for me, Cronin is the next cab off the rank.
I think Brian
as a
Byrne
hooker.
is still injured. Or
Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah.
So there is, there's no question that he should be getting a start at some point.
Because there's a lot of matches
Or
over
sorry,
in that Christmas period.
Okay.
There's 3 matches.
Yeah, there is.
All three provinces.
Yeah.
Playing
It's
well.
actually going to be interesting because the injury to Sexton, Carberry's injured.
Yeah.
Carty
He's out of form.
is out of form.
Big time.
One of the few players who's actually playing poorly since come back from the World Cup. A lot of the guys who actually came back from the World Cup are playing quite well.
Yeah.
But
In fairness, I don't think his coach is doing him much good.
no, he seems to
Like
prefer
he seems to be criticising them in public as well.
he seems to prefer the one of the Fitzgerald brothers. It turns out there were 2 of them that time.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he seems to prefer him. I mean, he gave him the hook against at the weekend
Yeah, against Gloucester. Yeah.
against Gloucester, and it was a fairly sharp shepherd's crook as well. He got
Yeah. He kicked one into touch on the full and
to an intercept.
intercept.
Yeah,
Well, that is not going to inspire confidence in Andy Farrell. So that makes Ross Byrne by default.
Could be.
Uh,
It's
there's
a bit
going to
of
be
a
options for guys. What I mean is, obviously Carton House is on
Carby-
again over the Christmas period. You've got due to Kirby out and Sexton now. There's going to be opportunities for Ross Byrne, for JJ Hanrahan, for Tyler Blandall, maybe 1 or 2 others. You
Yeah.
never know.
Yeah.
There could be guys. I mean, he might decide to bring him into the camp of Billy Burns up in Ulster, and just to have him around the place. So there's going to be
Joe had
There's gonna
Tyler
be some
Blandall
selections.
in camp as the minute he qualified.
yeah.
He never played a match, and he got injured shortly after because he's a bit of a sick note. Has a bit of a bad luck with injury.
He does, yeah.
JJ seems to be the man in possession down in Munster at the moment, and seems to be going reasonably well. However, with Carty in bad form, you have to think that if we're going to use the phrase "next cab off the rank" again, that Ross Byrne is the man. And if Carberry has to come back, and the talk is that he might not make it for the Leinster game in Thomond Park. So it'll be the game after that. I think it's Ulster they're playing after that. So if he comes back then, he's got very little time to get back into form for the Six Nations, because there's literally only 3 games. There's that game and 2 Heineken Cup games. That's it.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't hit the ground running, he's behind Ross Byrne, you would have thought, for the Six Nations. And then, okay, Sexton might be back after the first game or 2. But in that period, Ross Byrne pretty much has to get selected, I would have said.
Yeah.
Depending on what happens.
You could see.
Unless Kirby comes back,
It's
tears it up, cures cancer, totally, sticks a brush up his arse and sweeps the field while he's playing, while he's
You're not very familiar with
juggling
Stop talking
fire.
about yourself,
You're not
John.
very familiar with rural work practices, are you, John?
Well, whatever. I'm trying to emphasise if he comes back and has an absolute stormer.
But you do see these redemption stories,
Yeah.
Like you see them a lot. Like say a couple of seasons.
Sport is full of them.
It's full of them. Like a couple of seasons ago, we saw just say, I don't know, Keane Healy. Keane
Yeah.
Healy had lost his place in Ireland and
Gordon Darcy about 5 times in his career. Oh, he's finished.
Yeah.
Finished. He's never going to play again. He's dead. And then he plays 15 seasons. There's loads of those, yeah.
But she was done in 2009, if you remember.
2007.
2007
In
was
fact,
when he
it was 2003, 2007, 2009, and at least once more, if not
Yeah.
twice more after that. He's definitely gone this time.
Well,
I know he
came
wasn't
back
gone
and
the other
remember
4
he broke his
times.
arm and he was out for a year and he
Yeah.
came back then.
Scored
and
a try
scored
against
try.
France.
Yeah.
And he came back for the 2015 World Cup now. He didn't get selected, and that kind of...
He played a match. If you remember, he played a match in Donnybrook, a warm-up.
That's right, yeah.
And he said, I'm done.
That's it,
Yeah.
yeah.
I read an interview with
But he
him
did-
about that. And
He
just
did
said,
fight to get back.
Yeah, but
to
then,
that.
but when he got back, he said, nah.
Yeah.
Funny, isn't it?
Nothing
How
left.
something just happened. And
Yeah.
it's not. We just take a look at some of the other results,
Yes,
boys.
please do.
Yeah. Okay, so obviously the other team in our group is Leon. They had a pretty emphatic victory over Treviso 28-0. Their first points in the European. Actually, no, they got a point last
You got a
week.
point off us.
Yeah,
The first win.
first win.
yeah.
Give me
Yeah.
that. So pretty much, it's kind of like, okay, just talking about our pool. We're on 14. Saints are on 9. So they're still in it. We still have a job to do in Lansdowne next week. But if we get a good victory there, I think pretty much it's all over by the shouting.
Well, you'd have to think we've got 2 home games and Treviso away. If we can't get 3 wins out of that and a bonus point or 2,
Yeah.
you've got to, you're not winning the bloody European Cup
Yeah.
if you can't do that. So things are it's funny the way things have swung around. Like when these groups were selected back in June or whatever it was, Munster had the group of death. We had a piss easy group. Now it's turned around at least twice where Saracens, salary sins, as people are calling them, are deducted a load of points and are in trouble in the league, and there's all kinds of stuff that they're not going to target Europe. And then Racing are then in 11th place, whereas in our group Leon and Northampton are top of both of their leagues. So it's now truth somewhere in the middle. Racing and Saracens are certainly not as bad as that would their league position would suggest. Obviously in Saracens' case, because it's there for punitive reasons.
Yeah, it's a very artificial position. Literally.
And also I think Northampton and Leon are flattering to deceive a little bit at the top of their leagues. But it is funny how, because it just looked like we had such an easy draw and they had such a difficult draw. Now their group is starting to swing again and it's starting to get harder.
Yeah, but when you look at
It's starting
when
to
we
look very
played,
hard.
and I don't want, I probably going to sound a bit arrogant, but if you look at the matches that we've played so far, like Leon weren't up to much, and we went to the Saints' back garden and scored 40 points, scored 7 tries.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. They're flattering to deceive at the top
very
of their
much
league.
so.
There is another way to look at that, and that's that this is a really superb Leinster team.
Yeah, well, possibly.
I think that this might be a team as good as 2012. If you remember last year, Saracens beat us in the final, and we all know how they did that. So
By breaking no rules whatsoever in European rugby.
how
But
did
they
they
didn't.
qualify for Europe?
They would have qualified for Europe
Maybe.
anyway.
We don't know.
They
But
would
they were cheating.
They would
to
have
get
made
into,
6.
They were cheating to get into Europe. They didn't break any European laws. But
Well, one thing you could argue is that the fact that they had all those extra players due to their salary capness was what did for us, the bench they had
Yeah.
to bring on,
Yeah.
what did for us in the final. So you could kind of...
I rewatched that match actually. And we're winning 10-0 with
I know.
2
Well,
minutes to
stop.
go in the first
I
half.
think Luke makes a mistake.
Yeah, you should have kicked it dead.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's not relive that one
Yeah.
right now.
But I mean, that's the level that this team is at. I mean, it got to a semi-final in its first year, if you like. The second year that Leo was in charge, lost to Clermont Auvergne
And Scarlet's in the...
and Scarlet's in the thing. Then the following year, double.
Yeah,
Following year,
almost double.
almost double. And now this year, you look at the way we're playing. So
Mhm.
I mean,
We're favourites for Europe.
yeah, I
currently,
don't
in the
think
bookies.
I don't think Leon are all that great. To be honest with you, I agree with you
No.
that much. But I do think there is an element that
Oh, for sure. I agree with you.
we may well be.
Yeah, no, I think we're definitely
Yeah.
playing
We're
some
motoring.
superb rugby, but let's not just get
Too carried away.
just yet.
No.
Looking at pool 3, Ulster's pool,
Mhm.
they had, well, I think made hard work of it against Quins on
Yeah.
Saturday afternoon. Cooney once again, balls as big as a house.
Yeah. Seems to do it every time.
He does.
He is the reason why they were 3 points behind. Let's not forget,
Yeah,
or
well,
2 points behind. So let's not get too carried away. Schrodinger's scrum half. He is both. He should both be in the Irish team and nowhere near it at the same time.
yeah,
Well,
well,
I think he's pushing for.
he has to be.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Like, look at say,
Versatility alone.
But just as we're talking about various lads' careers going up and down, like there's McGrath. Okay, I don't think he was dropped as such from the team last week. He just wasn't
He was
selected, rotated out. But let's say he's not starting for Leinster at the moment. Cooney
Ulster.
sorry, McGrath.
Oh,
McGrath
right.
not
I
selected.
thought you meant Jack McGrath.
I knew what you
Don't,
meant.
don't mind me.
and Cooney then coming in and he's kind of has been the difference between Ulster this season, winning and losing. He was doing it last season as well.
Yeah, he was very good. I don't think he's been that good this season, to be honest with you.
well.
I don't think he's been as good as he was last season. Against Quins, he murdered a 2-on-1 that would have put Ludick in the line, and then he threw the intercept. But the thing he does have, and it's the thing that is actually admirable, is rock solid goal kicking. It doesn't matter. You see some guys who are goal kickers, how they play affects how they kick. Cooney can play brilliantly and he kicks superbly. He can play poorly, but he kicks superbly, and that's something.
Madigan was a bit like that.
Yeah, Madigan was very similar to that actually. Madigan's general play had no effect whatsoever on his goal kicking.
But I would say one thing in a scrum half's defence, they probably pass the ball 100 times.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, no, that's a fair point.
And if you it's different if you're a centre and you pass the ball 10 times in a game and you throw a couple of intercepts.
Yeah, they do it infinitely more. Yeah.
Ulster are really up against it now this week. They've got to travel to Harlequins, and if they win, they'll probably qualify in second place out of the group.
They're on 12 points currently.
Yeah. If they don't win, however, they're not going to win in Claremont. Claremont are going to win their next 2 matches with bonus points. Claremont have 2 at home.
Like they fucked up giving a losing bonus point to Claremont.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how.
I don't think that Claremont are relevant to Ulster's.
I think
Claremont
are on 11 points. Ulster are on 12 points currently.
But I think they're going to be on 21 points after the next 2 matches because they're both at home. They've got Ulster and who's the other? Bath.
They all play each other.
They've got Ulster and Bath at home as the next 2 games for Claremont. Mark my words, that's 10 points for Claremont.
Claremont have to fuck up at least one group game.
But they have done already. They lost to Ulster.
No, like at home. They do it every year. Since they lost that record, they've been having real problems.
So, to my mind, if Ulster go away and win this weekend, they're going to get wiped out in Claremont. But they can come back, and they'll have Bath in the last game at Ravenhill, and they'll mount a big challenge. And it doesn't matter how little they win by,
Claremont aren't
as long as they win by a point.
The fearsome machine that they once were.
Do you reckon?
No, they're not.
Well, we saw how poor they were in the match against Ulster in Ravenhill.
Yeah, they're not. They're not.
Like they weren't a good side. They have a great record in the Stade Michelin, but they're not that formidable team that we played in the semi-final 10 years, whatever it was, 7 years ago.
They're not that side anymore. I mean, Fofana is never there. He's not gone, but Rougerie has gone. Malzia has gone. A lot of the guys that were the mainstay of that Claremont team, a lot of that fearsome pack.
They're still fairly shit hot though.
They're not fairly shit hot. They're a good French side.
They're going to top that group.
They might top that group.
They will.
I mean, where were they? How did they do in the competition last year?
Not as well.
No, because they weren't in it, were they?
And
that's what I'm saying. Like this could be a good Claremont team. It might not be a good Claremont team, but their record is that it's currently not as good as the team from 2012 through to 2015 that we were all really scared of. I mean, that team's last really top match was against us actually. When we were on the way up, they were on the way down. There was kind of that intersection. So they've been rebuilding ever since. We
nearly won that game, if you remember.
We very nearly won that game. Yeah.
We gave them a 14-0 start.
Yeah. And then Dan Levy was pulled back for an infringement
by Jack Conan. Yeah, that's right. He grabbed a leg.
I mean, that's where the game turned. Yeah.
But sometimes it's not seen, you know.
Yeah. It was a complete decision, but it was a correct decision. It was, but at the same time, sometimes you get away with them, sometimes you don't. We didn't that day, but that was I think the last.
Nathan Hines got away with holding 3 Ulster players down in a ruck in Claremont.
Yeah, he was
right up at the line.
He was usually very good at that kind of thing.
He was very good.
But he knew how to do it subtly.
Yeah, he knew how to do it.
I don't know. I think he was laughing when he was doing it. It was so blatant. Anyway,
Nathan Hines is part of that whole Scottish tradition of if you're breaking the law so obviously, the ref won't believe that you're doing it and let you away with it. But that was, as I was saying, that Claremont team has been rebuilding ever since that because it's a newish iteration. So it'd be interesting to see.
I'm not saying they're going to get to a final round. I'm just saying they're going to top that group, and I'll put money that they're going to get 10 points out of the next 2 games.
Perhaps.
So Pool 2, Exeter looking strong in that one, 14 points.
Didn't get a bonus point.
No,
which is great for us.
But I mean, like, did you see?
No, I didn't see that one. No.
They tore Sale apart in the first 25-30 minutes. Stuart Hogg ran amok. And then he got a HIA, went off. And for whatever reason,
She scored in the first minute and got
Yeah.
a HIA and went
was
off.
it the first minute he got? No, he was on for 2 of the tries anyway.
Anyway,
And they had 3 tries in the bag with 25-30 minutes gone.
Yeah.
And then didn't score again.
it was 25. I know it was 24 something
Yeah.
when they scored their
It
third
was
try, and I went,
20-22 was the final
They're-
score.
Yeah.
they're gonna get. There's no way they're not gonna get a bonus point. At 55 minutes,
And they didn't.
didn't get another score. Never
Yeah.
mind a bonus point, which is crazy when you think about it.
Mhm.
You'd be kicking their arse if you were their coach to not get to pull a bonus point out of that, because they would have been the only team with full points, and now we dropped a point in Leon. They dropped a point there, so we're both on 14 points. My money's on Exeter coming out of that group on their own. I don't think Glasgow, unless
In fairness,
Glasgow
Actually,
do what they did before and beat them in Glasgow in the group game.
did you not see that game then? You didn't see Maryland Yard.
No.
Gets to the line, tackled like literally a less than a body's length away from the line,
And knocked on.
goes to roll over the line and drops the ball while rolling over.
Oh, it was criminal. It was. Yeah.
Got the hook at half time, but his coach less than impressed with him for.
You give it to a prop for it. Never mind a fucking winger.
Mhm.
And they dropped like they didn't pick. They had Denny Solomon on the bench like because they picked Maryland Yard and it did, but that could have been the winning of the game for Sale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Murdo's team, they beat La Rochelle Rogues' team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
27-24 over in La Rochelle.
scored some lovely tries.
Yeah, Roger and the lads are not going anywhere this season. They're like Leon last season.
They've
You know.
1 point.
Well, okay, they're not, because Leon got no points I think last season, but they're not going to do much damage in Europe by the looks of things. Which is they're kind of a gimme team when you're playing against them. Even
I have to interrupt you. We've just got an important comment in from Declan Corcoran that Saracens should be known as Asterix or FC, which I think is a good one. Carry on.
so yeah, if Glasgow pull off a win over Exeter in Glasgow, which I'm not sure if it was the last or the second last game, I think it's the second last game. That might get them through, and it'll put a dent in Exeter's challenge for a top 2 seed, which would be good for the rest of the. But I've got a feeling that this year Exeter are they've had their few. We gave them a doing in Europe in the back-to-backs a couple of years ago, and they've had their lessons. They've taken their licks, and I think they might be.
Not so much a doing. We beat them in a way that kind of just destroyed their morale.
They were
But
leading
they were
at
close
half time,
games.
weren't they?
They
They
were
were
both
leading at
games
close
half time.
games. Yeah.
We beat them by being more Exeter than Exeter.
Keane Healy got sin binned
Yeah.
for a late hit into a ruck.
There was the 43 phase defensive stand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Devon Toner was one of those stretcho arms where we're going everywhere. So Exeter, I fancy to come out of that group on their own unless Glasgow pull that miracle off. The rest of the teams, La Rochelle, nah. And Sale could they're home to Glasgow.
They're military
Sa-
medium though.
Sailor-
They're very beige.
Sailor on 6 points. I don't think they're going to
Yeah.
come out of that.
They're not gonna.
It's too far.
Yeah.
Moving to Pool 4, Munster's group. Munster they let Sarries
Asterix FC.
Asterix FC back into it and they got a red card at the very end for
Yeah, they
the
did.
charging with the elbow
After
after the ball had gone out
the
dead.
ball had gone out dead. The referee had blown the final whistle when he got the old check in the ear, and Arno Both had led with an elbow into the throat. Now it wasn't particularly malicious, but it was a
Still,
red card.
no, that's the
Might be
that's
deciding,
the,
though.
that's,
That's
the
the
new
rule.
rules.
Has it been deciding?
Red cards are an automatic side.
Right,
So what's that?
yeah.
Is that going to? He's going to get about 3 weeks for that. will
It
he?
depends. I don't know. They could just decide 1 week because it wasn't particularly vicious or anything. But with the match over, they have to come back for the penalty which they kick to the corner
Very lucky that Tommy O'Donnell
and then lose the
snatched
line
it.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
it was
a
a bit last.
dreadful game.
Yeah,
Now, admittedly,
dreadful weather.
played in extraordinarily bad conditions.
So Munster have it all to do. Saracens are on 6 points,
And are rumoured to be going full
But-
gun this weekend.
but you've got to fancy them for 5 this weekend, and then again they've got the Ospreys to come. So there's another
There's
automatic 5. So I'm thinking that Munster
Munster
are going to be in third place unless they win and Saracens or do some serious.
Yeah.
Well,
They
what
need
they
a
have to
result.
do, what
Yeah.
they have
They
to
need a
do,
result next weekend or a win in Paris.
They have to go away to the
they
two
have to do
biggest
better than
rivals.
they have to do better than 10 at a minimum. They have to do better than 10-3.
Yeah.
So like 10-6 would do them because
Yeah.
if they end up on the same points as Saracens, then they would go through on the head to head.
Yeah.
So that might just be enough for them if they do stuff elsewhere. But they've also got to go over to the La Défense Arena
Yeah.
over in Paris. They're
It's a big ask.
unlikely to win there. Like, you know, you really have to. Like, we've got Treviso away in 2 home games. They've got Saracens and Racing 92
The
away.
only thing is,
You know, they've got-
Racing aren't doing particularly great in the top 14.
no, I know that they're down 11th. But
So
like.
well,
The only other thing is that they're going to get 5 points off Ospreys at home in the last game,
Yeah.
but it could be too late for them. Hopefully not. Hopefully they can do a job this
Well,
weekend.
I mean, it's going to be very, very difficult for Munster if as is rumoured that Saracens are going to go full gun.
Well, they might as well. See, the
because
thing about Saracens is right.
Munster couldn't beat their seconds.
If
1.5.
if they're there, if Saracens are there or thereabouts come the knockouts in Europe,
Oh, then they'll take it
they
seriously.
will because if they win the Heineken Cup,
they're guaranteed.
they
Heineken
qualify
Cup.
for the Heineken Cup whether they get relegated or not. So that'd be very interesting to have a team that's playing in the Championship and the Heineken Cup, wouldn't it? Anyway, that's very unlikely to happen because they're unlikely to get relegated the way Leicester are playing.
Yeah.
However,
the
moving
Brighton, when they
swiftly
played
on.
Man United in about the early 80s, I think
No.
they were in the
Where
FA
are
Cup
we
final.
going now?
I think they might have gone down.
No,
Did
no.
they not go down?
No, they did go down. They got
Yeah,
the FA
but
Cup
they
final.
lost
were-
the FA Cup. They lost
yeah,
the replay.
Yeah, they were a Division 1 team and they lost it. Yes, they did. But there are teams that have gone down. Wigan went down and were in Europe the next season
Right.
because they lost the cup final to either Chelsea or United, who had already qualified for the Champions League. So they took their place in the Europa League.
Hmm.
So and they were playing in League One or Championship.
Well, all the effort that Ospreys went to last season to qualify for Europe, the only Welsh side, what?
They might have had a bit of fun in the Challenge Cup. But
They got a lad sent off in the opening. Must have been
Mm.
one of the quickest ever sending offs, was it?
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's kind of unlucky,
One of
but
the very fastest. It was in the first minute.
Do you
I think.
think he deserved? Think
Yeah.
it was an intentional kick to the head?
oh, it definitely wasn't intentional. But I think it was
Definitely
reckless.
wasn't or was?
Wasn't
Definitely was.
was it?
I think so. Yeah. Like when you go up right, and you kind of you raise your foot to protect yourself. Then when you're landing down, you don't lift your foot up again, which is what he did.
Mm.
You tend to try and
Didn't
bring
look
your feet down
intentional
to
to me.
land on.
Yeah.
If you look at it, his foot's come. Okay, he puts his foot up to protect himself. His foot is coming down, and then he sees the guy coming in. and He puts his foot up again.
Mm.
Mm.
I think it was deliberate.
Well, no, I saw it at a distance in a pub, so it wasn't
Yeah.
Blurred,
Take another look
blurred
at,
vision.
blurred vision,
take
perhaps.
another look at and tell me what you think. Actually,
I will do.
I saw it. I was just watching the highlights that were on telly last night.
I thought it was definitely a red card because it's reckless.
there's definitely a red card either. way,
Reckless,
but I
yeah.
thought it was deliberate.
Okay.
And finally, Connacht's group, Glas, they were beaten by Gloucester on Sunday,
Yeah,
hmm
26-17.
started off quite well.
Yeah.
But then just for whatever reason, Gloucester moved away or they dropped off. I'm not sure what. Because I don't think Gloucester are particularly better than Connacht do have injuries and stuff like that, and they had a few more, so which didn't help.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to know. I don't think they're going to be troubling the
The scores.
ball tombola ball makers.
I think that Toulouse and Exeter might be the two pools that only one team comes in.
Toulouse are on 13. So
Yeah.
the closest rival in that is Gloucester on 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think because all the other teams are capable of beating each other, so I don't think that that more than one team is going to come out of that group.
No, I
Be
think
a bit of
Toulouse
a
are gonna
miracle.
come out, and I don't think anyone else is.
Yeah.
They'll, as you say, they'll all take points off one another. Of course, Gloucester have to go to the sports ground.
You can see that. You can see a reversal of that
Yeah,
scoreline
yeah.
over in Galway next
Yeah,
week.
but I don't think it's going to be enough to put Connacht into a
No, I
second
don't think
place.
so. I
No,
think they
maybe
needed to
not.
win
No,
in
yeah.
Gloucester.
Yeah.
Like they're Connacht are on 4 points.
Yeah.
So they're out of it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like it's again like these back-to-back matches are fascinating, and this is one of the proposals that is going to be spoken about for the meeting between all of the stakeholders at the end of the season in relation to having every round a back-to-back. It's on the table.
Interesting.
When there's always biscuits in the tin,
Yeah.
what's the point
What's
of
the
biscuits?
point of biscuits? Yeah.
I mean, that's that's what makes this.
But I think they want to condense it and have, look, I'm sure you might have seen some of the comments on the Northampton Saints website. I certainly read them, my mouth open. But even speaking to some Northampton fans, like they don't, like we can put as much gloss on the Heineken Cup as we want and say it's the best competition and all the rest of it. They honestly don't. Their fans don't think that.
I don't know why you're surprised at that, Jason. I don't know why
I'm not surprised,
anybody's
but
surprised.
it's not that I'm surprised at it, John. I'm just that, we build it up every year to be the be all
Of
and
course,
end
but
all.
no one else
No
does.
one else does.
No one. The Welsh don't. The French don't. The English don't. No one else gives a shit. It's not. It's obviously the Italians don't have much of a go in it, so they don't really. They're not looking like they're going to win it any time. I know the Scottish teams probably do see it as a big thing, but that's it. Everybody else
Some of the French clubs.
prioritises their leagues. Yeah, some of the French clubs give it a go, but never at the expense of their league. If the league is fecked, they'll go for the European Cup, or if vice versa.
Or if they have a budget large enough to go for both.
For both, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
But that's what I was going to say. I agree with everything you said, but I'd also say a lot of fans saying, "Oh, we prefer to concentrate in the league." Yeah, you've no fucking choice.
yeah,
to be
well,
honest with you,
that's
'cause
true.
you're
Yeah.
shit.
Mm.
I mean, there is an element of that.
I
to
know,
it.
That's
but
true.
there's the whole hairy chestnut about. Oh well, we did we can't deny it. But okay, we can go to Glasgow, change our team, make 14 changes.
12 anyway.
12 changes to the team, make 14 changes from that team to the team that played against Northampton,
Mm-hmm.
and win both games, right? And they'll say, "Oh well, we rest," whereas Northampton say, "Well, we played Leicester last week and we played pretty much the same side."
They could have rested
We can-
players against Leicester, and they probably
Oh,
would
I'm
have
sure
won.
they
anyway.
could. I'm sure they could, but they would see it as
That's
their
sort of
match
shambles.
against. That's their local rival.
Yeah, yeah,
of a
no,
few-
absolutely.
20 or 30.
It's their Leinster. It's their Leinster.
But
Munster.
it's 20 or 30 miles away
Yeah,
as
but
opposed to
yeah.
100 miles away.
Yeah, but it's their.
It is. Yes,
yeah.
it is. Yeah.
I wouldn't blame them for that.
No.
I would blame them for situations we've seen in the past where English teams have come over here for pre-season friendlies
Yeah.
with full strength teams,
Yeah.
and then they complain about player burnout. I mean, Chris Boyd was talking about his players being heavy legged at half time. Half time in a match in November.
When they've only played 5 league games.
Yeah, you should try and get better professionals,
But,
Chris.
well, I think what he was alluding to as well, though, is that, say, I don't know, whatever percentage it was of the Leinster team were away at the World Cup. At the peak of their fitness, they were, obviously clearly didn't perform to the best of our ability, but they
But we still
were,
get
but
the
they were
fitness left.
conditioned. And then I was listening to someone there the other day, and they were saying, by not playing, I think it might have been Matt Williams. He said, by not playing, you're actually training harder.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? If you're
You
rested,
can do more weights,
Yeah,
you
but
can
you-
do more
you
fitness.
can.
You
yeah.
train harder because you try to get back into the team.
well, no, just say if you're, say Leinster decided to, inverted commas, rest our frontline players against Glasgow the previous week. Well, those lads are actually training harder than if they were
In the
playing that
gym,
match,
yeah.
because they're working when the
Yeah,
other guys are
Well,
resting.
They don't have to, like, if you're playing a game, you don't want to come off a massive heavyweight session 2 days before a game.
yeah.
You'll have less heavyweight sessions a week you're playing than a week you're not.
The guys who are playing taper down their
Yeah.
programs to
Have
not
to.
much.
Yeah, but
It could be an idea that
That's
Instead
why
of-
pre-season is when all the shit happens, and when all the weights happen, when all the really hard running happens. Why nobody likes pre-season because there's no matches. That's the whole thing. That's where your fitness gets built up. Yes, you still need to be match fit, and you still need match practice, and that's a different thing. But the actual fitness, the stuff you put in the miles you get in the legs and the miles you get in the pump you get in the gym, is all
the thing that puzzles
done
me
when you're
is
not playing.
if you look at the English salary cap, and then you look at what the top teams would get in terms of plugins for elite player, academy
Academies,
players,
all that.
all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. I would say there's virtually no difference between a club at the top of the salary cap, and what
And Leinster.
and Leinster's budget.
Yeah, that's what.
I'd say, because you look at what the IRFU spends on the professional game. Even if you just divide it by 4, which you can't because there's other things that come out of it, but even if you just divide it by 4, the figures are pretty much the same as a team at the max of its salary cap. So my query is, what are they spending the money on? I mean, why haven't they
in
developed
saying that, we have an enormous academy, and then like there's a squad
An
of
enormous funnel of
Like-
players
Yeah, that's
going
right,
into
but
it.
even look at the coaching, right? Look at who they've got. Look at the names of the players that Leinster have got, right? You've got a former, say Leo Cullen inherited a job, possibly should have got it now, right?
Yeah.
Instead of 4 years ago, but he's now at the top of his game. He's got his 4 years or 5 years experience as being a coach.
He's the longest serving Leinster coach
Yeah.
ever since
Yeah.
in matches played
Matches played,
since
yeah.
last week. He beat Czechia.
Correct. But then you have Lancaster, who coached England. You've got Contepomi, who was coaching the Jaguares.
Yes.
You've got McBride coming into the team, who's a former
Wales
was
and
involved
Lions.
with National and Lions. Was he not Lions as well? He's
I don't
certainly
know.
Lions.
No,
No,
it
so
wasn't.
certainly
It
certainly
wasn't.
Wales.
The guy down
Yeah.
once
Yeah.
for us,
Yeah,
Ramsey.
excuse me.
And then even like sort of coming into the academy, you've got Leamy. Do you know what I mean? So like these are guys who are coming in with lots and lots of experience, playing experience, coming in to run the day-to-day operations
Mhm.
of, and you got Easterby say pulling the strings in the background. So
Yeah.
you know what I mean. So you've got like quite a big management structure there. That obviously has to be paid for. You've got. Do you know what I mean? You're not getting someone.
Oh, yeah.
What I mean is, you're not getting some school teacher coming in.
No.
You were great
Well, he worked
working.
out for us.
You were working. But
Thanks, Joe.
what I mean is, you're not getting some guy in that's done a great job for St. Michael's and saying, "Come on in now, and we'll pay you 50k." You're paid if you want to get someone like Leamy into the academy. I presume they have to offer him
A
a
commensurate
fairly
salary.
correct.
The other side of that, though, is if you invest in coaching, you develop lots of cheap, free players.
Yeah, you do.
Well, that's it.
And that's what they're getting.
And that's what
what
they're
happens.
But like,
And like,
But
so
eventually
just
you have to pay them, or you
Yeah,
are paying
but
off
eventually
them.
you do.
but when they get to 24, like I remember years ago, probably leading up to the 2011 European Cup final, they had an interview with Sexton, and he was sort of having a bit of a moan about how little he was on compared to say O'Driscoll, even though he had, was now playing in his second European Cup final, and this is on Sky, the Sky Rugby Club, whatever. But now he was kind of saying it in a funny way, but still he was saying it.
Mhm.
So like Leinster had got 2 seasons out of Sexton
Exactly.
of Europe as a European Cup winner.
Exactly.
for less than half the price, then they'd have to pay for
If they brought in
exactly,
the equivalent player
That's
from
exactly it.
from Bath or
And,
whatever.
and that's how we do it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that we don't see about the Premiership. For example, the relegation thing. The way they're always on about it. Oh yeah, we've a hard league in relegation. When they're winning, it's the contributing to their win. When they're losing, it's the reason for their losses. But like the relegation,
The Matt O'Connor of the Premiership.
yeah, it is a thing. Like if you're going out against Zebre, and they're not going to get rid. They don't give a shit. Like they don't have to really front up against you. Whereas if you're going out against Leicester, it turns out this year, you know Leicester could go down if their guys are going to fight to, much harder against you. And it's not just the fact it's okay. Saracens are up the top of the league normally, and let's say whoever went down. Who went down last year?
You did go down, right?
Newcastle.
Newcastle.
Yeah.
Newcastle are down the other end. They don't have as much money. But their players, like playing in Newcastle is going to be much harder than playing in Zebre, just for the sheer fact that they don't want to get relegated.
Who do you think will be up next season? Newcastle?
Sure, but the point I'm making is that
Like, would they not be
we
better
tend
off?
to make light of it. We tend to say, oh, well, the people who are
No.
getting relegated aren't really affecting, you're going to beat
But
them anyway.
I think you'll find. I think this
Well-
argument is time limited because Yorkshire Carnegie, Leeds Carnegie, whatever you call it, are in serious financial difficulty. They're a shareholder of the PRL, and so are Newcastle. So if Leeds go, Newcastle get promoted. They'll pull
That's
up the
it.
trapdoor.
Ring fencing.
That's it. All they're waiting to do is get all their
Everyone who's a shareholder
in, and then
But then you do hear traditionalist arguments of saying, "Oh, well, I'm in favour of relegation and we should keep it." So there's going to be that debate for a period of time.
Sure, yeah.
Like someone like Exeter would say, "Well, we would
It
never,
helped us.
we would have been on the outside looking in 10 years ago.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and now look at them like
there
the
are,
second
I mean,
best team in
There are
England.
arguments like that. I mean, it's a weird one, relegation, because it really only exists in countries where soccer is strong.
Yeah,
Relegation as a concept doesn't. I mean, even in like everybody's talking
American football or whatever.
Yeah, everybody's talking in Brazil about. I think it's Palmeiras been relegated, but in their championship, you have to get relegated. You have to perform badly over a 2-year period. They've made it really difficult, and the points are averaged out.
right.
So because they don't want relegation, so it's very much an Anglo-centric, for want of a better phrase. I mean, you look at they have it in France, where obviously England had a huge effect on sports in France. They had it obviously in England and in Italy, where England had a huge effect on sports in Italy. But they don't really have it anywhere else in any other codes. It's a strange kind of
Certainly not
social thing.
Certainly not in America.
No,
like
no.
you know, you think of all of the major
Sports.
league sports.
Yeah.
They have.
But
you
they're
know,
much more business based. It's much more franchise.
Yeah.
It's much
Yeah.
more. It's not as Corinthian perhaps
But
because they've been professional
but the
sports
thing
for
is,
so
it
long.
works. That system works for us in Ireland.
Yeah.
Like it 100% does. That, you know, there's no way that we would have Jordan Larmour coming through right now. You know, he might come through this season, but not there for 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Remember his little scoop up in the final a couple of seasons
Oh, yeah.
ago? He wouldn't have been doing that because he wouldn't have been playing, because if you weren't able to develop players and play them in against,
The
let's say,
Zebras of
Zebras
this
and the
world.
Dragons of this world, and get the game and get minutes under their belt and say, Jesus, he's a fine player. He just needs a bit of, give him some minutes and get him experience. And then if we need him, if we have an injury crisis, we can chuck him in and we feel comfortable that he can perform at that level.
That's the beauty of having no
But
relegation.
exactly,
You can do
that-
that.
that's what I'm saying.
That's
It works
Yeah.
for us.
The other side of the relegation coin, because I remember Donnacha O'Callaghan, when he was writing his excellent column in the Times, was talking about that whole kind of relegation. He said the other side of it is it makes teams risk averse.
Yeah.
Teams don't want to try things. Their skills suffer because they play a very
Very
limited
true,
game of
yeah.
rugby. They play the game of rugby that'll get them over the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the same in, say, schools rugby,
Yeah,
because it's win at all costs.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like if you had a league in schools rugby rather than a one day, your big moment to play against Glasgow.
Trained all year. And
Trained
you
all
got
year as-
Michaels in the first round.
as we did.
Doom.
As I, three seasons knocked out in the first round. But you trained, you know, 4 days a week for 5 months of the year, and then you have one day and you lose.
Mm.
It's done. But like, even in that moment, even in those games, you were afraid to make a mistake. You were afraid to throw the skip pass with the guy on the wing,
Yeah.
because in case it was intercepted or didn't go to hand, because you were afraid.
It's the same actually in Gaelic football. If you watch, I don't know if you guys watch a lot of Gaelic football, but the National Football League, the football in it is far superior to the football in the Championship.
For the same reason.
For one of two reasons. One, you've got evenly matched teams because it's a divisional thing,
Yeah.
and they do have relegation and promotion there. But you've got evenly matched teams, and there isn't that huge pressure of the Championship knockout. If you lose, you're gone. Although they have the qualifiers, but still, it's a different thing. Whereas because it's a league, you can afford to take a risk because you've always got tomorrow. or
It's
you've
an
always got
interesting
Sunday.
dichotomy. I think that's what makes European rugby so interesting,
Is it-
because
that-
of
that
all
was-
the
that was
different,
that was going to be my final point. Yeah.
all the
all the
different
different
styles and
systems and
systems,
styles,
and
I
like
think that's what adds to if everybody was the same, it would take away from the richness of the competition. Where you've got the Irish provinces, the English clubs, historic English clubs like Saints. Like, I mean, we often talk about watching rugby special, looking at Franklin's Gardens, and they got rid of the hedge. I can't believe they got rid of the hedge.
They
You-
built a stand.
Yeah,
Like they're-
it's a lovely stand as well.
yeah, it's actually
but-
the stand that we were in, and behind it, they have this old statue. I think it was a war memorial of
yeah.
ex-players or ex-players, players who
Yeah,
passed
who
in
passed
in,
away
in
in
the Great
wars,
Wars.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I always remember watching some rugby special, and the hedge was green and yellow, and I think there might have been black in it. The way it was planted, it was a beautiful hedge. But you always knew you were watching Franklin's Gardens because of that, or the old Welford Road, with its kind of wooden stands and stuff like that. And those were for rugby fans. Those places are evocative places. The Wreck. So playing the teams from them from a position where we were, where rugby was an amateur game, and a team might go on tour, but it
Yeah.
wasn't a competition. It wasn't a competitive game, and it certainly wasn't going to be on television, and it certainly wasn't going to be watched by however many thousand people. To where we are now, and there's value in that because those English teams mean something to you as a young rugby fan, and then you get to play them. And it's the same with the French sides. You might see the top 14 final or whatever on Rugby Special.
Yeah.
Or
But I suppose as time moves on, all those differences that each country has are all kind of, when you're looking, say, a Champions League or even Six Nations, they blur.
yeah, because
And then you can
yeah.
say, well, why isn't it like that? Like, why isn't my team the same as the team in England, or the team in England like the same as the team in Scotland, or whatever? And, as a result, we all want it to be the same, but they want it to be our same.
Yeah, we wanted to be the same as us. We wanted to be the same but different.
Yeah, but I think it's great. But what I started this about 20 minutes ago to say was, we don't get relegation, but they also don't get the structure of the way our competition works for us, and the way we can. They slag us off because you put out what they would call a second team in various places. We rest players and
We
all
should
this
put out a second team
cliches.
against them and see how we get on.
But that's what gives us. That's how we can afford to have such a good team on a similar budget to what they're on in their salary cap, and it's very difficult to get definitive figures on what Leinster spend on players.
Yeah,
Nobody can really get it. But
But
some of the people I've seen who have the most insider knowledge, if you like, who have estimated it, have come up with Munster and Ulster are a little bit below the English salary cap, and we're about on the English salary cap. Now that's when you calculate all the central contracts, all the bits and pieces, where all the bits tally. Now, people can argue with that, and there's nobody can put up an argument saying, this is the definitive thing.
I use the simplest method.
But-
I look at the annual report, take professional game costs, divide it by 4, and convert it to sterling. Now,
But it
some
doesn't
teams
go
get
that
more,
way.
some teams get less.
Leinster
But
get
it's a
a
good
bit
rule of
more.
thumb, and it's about as accurate as you're going to get out of the IRFU on what they spend on the province.
Well, Leinster get as much more as Connacht get less.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way. Like, let's say the figures are 9 million for Leinster, 7.5 for Munster and Ulster, and 5 for Connacht, or something like that.
Ulster are apparently coining it in Kingspan.
Yeah, they're a
Coining
great
it.
loyal fan base.
Yeah.
They pack out their
from the
games,
corporate stuff.
Yeah.
Because they have brilliant corporate
Facilities,
facilities
yeah.
there now.
which we hopefully will have
Yeah.
soon. Although we won't be making all the money from them because we won't own them, but
Yeah.
that's another day's work.
Well, there's 35,000, or there was a press release, I don't know, a couple of days ago, saying there was 35,000 tickets sold for the Aviva, so presumably there's going to be...
We might get to 40,000. It is the Christmas thing that's kind of traditional now. We're going to have a blue Santa swinging from the
I'm going to miss it.
chandeliers. Are you? Ah,
Yes, I'll
Dave,
be
that's awful.
working on Saturday, so I have to.
That's
I'll
sinful.
make up for it with Trouble Pilgrims and the Blades in the Academy.
Good stuff.
We'll all make up for it with that, even if we're going to the match.
Good stuff, lads.
I've
Sorry. Go on.
I've one more comment to read. It was a good comment from Alan Kavanagh, and I think this is probably the most important question we've been asked today. Alan wants to know. What does he want to know? Yes, he wants to know how can you be nice to your wife when she comes home from work when you've just spent 30 minutes on your knees trying to extract a fucking hip clip from the washing machine filter.
Is it hers or some other guy's?
I know it's not rugby, but I'm desperately struggling for an answer. Yeah, there's a question that actually.
See, that's what my mind would be thinking.
Was it the wife's hair clip, Alan, or was it one you're trying to get out before she found it? You didn't clarify that in your question. So you just got two more questions in. Dom asks, Connors to start on Saturday?
Possibly, yeah.
Possibly, yeah. I wouldn't have any problems. And Kurtzegg replies to that, saying, why not would you not start Van der Fleer of all players after that Tour de Force? It's exactly the
What an embarrassment of riches.
It's an equally valid question, and I mean, you could almost say, why would you start Van der Fleer last week after the way Connors played? So it's a great position to be in, considering the skills deficit.
I would be just as happy to see either of them, but it'd be a big move from the coaches to give Connors a go.
It would, but it wouldn't be. It would be a brave move, but it would also, I think it would one that would pay off for them.
Possibly, and it'd have Van der Fleer maybe getting a bit of his rest that he might be entitled to as an Ireland player, where you could play him somewhere else.
Take some of his
Schminitz. No, they're Finnets now.
Very good, very good. All right, boys, as ever, thanks a million. Thanks very much for watching. If you are following us on Facebook or Twitter, please give us a like and a thumbs up. Thanks, mate.